Welcome to the Leverton on Everything podcast. I'm Leverton, and this is Everything, a daily podcast where I review literally everything in under 10 minutes. Today we're going to talk about a Netflix docu-series kind of called King of Collectibles, The Goldin Touch from 2023 to Goldin, not gold, Goldin with an I, not an E. From 2023 to 2024. I gave it 5 out of 10 stars. My title, Artificially Memorable. This is a reality TV show, a series from Netflix, all about a company that auctions sports memorabilia. I don't know why I started to watch this. It's not really the kind of thing that I like anymore. I think the problem with this show is not connected to the show itself. It's connected to this market. These are really rich people, and they're spending a lot of money on things like Pokemon cards from the 1990s. The show also highlights different auctions of different sports memorabilia, and these are things like game-worn jerseys and game-worn shoes. These are just pieces of equipment, cloth, or a little piece of rubber. The only meaning that's attached to it is what we give it. I don't understand why somebody would want some shoes that a basketball player played in once, or a jersey that they wore in one half of the game. It doesn't make any sense to me. They show an auction for a jersey that was worn by Jackie Robinson for one season, so we know that he wore this jersey during the season, and it's a very old school baseball jersey, thick cotton, and there's like some blood of Jackie Robinson's on it, and it was being auctioned, and it could have sold for 7.5 million. I understand why that particular piece of sports memorabilia is so expensive because it has a lot of history. It wasn't just worn one time. And Jackie Robinson, of course, is a very historical figure in baseball. All of that makes sense, but some random player, I think that's my problem with this whole industry, the false memorabilia creation versus what is actually memorable. If you like this kind of thing, you could give it a watch. It has some very interesting personalities in it, but for myself, I felt that it was kind of something to have on in the background. Yeah, it kind of remembers. So I do collect a few things, maybe not so regularly now, but I collected coins, and when I was a kid, I collected hockey cards. And you would go to the store and you could like pick up a pack of hockey cards, and the the time that I was collecting was this time when these hockey cards were like mass produced. Not just hockey, but like baseball, all kind of sports cards were like mass produced. And you know, people were kind of collecting them because, well, I think there were two reasons. The first reason is people really thought that the value would go up, and it didn't. It kind of cratered maybe about 5 years after I started collecting them. And I remember I used to have these big binders full of hockey cards, and I was going to university and I didn't have anything to do with them, so I like threw them out. I was going to throw them out, and my brother was like, "No, no, no, don't throw them out. They're going to be worth something someday." And let me tell you, they weren't worth anything. It'd be cool to have them for sentimental value, but like they're not worth anything. You know, because they were like Pro Star, I think it was called. I mean, if you're the same age as me and you're into hockey, you know what those cards were like. You know, but I think the other part about it, at least when I was a boy, was that it really was a way to connect with players, because you couldn't watch all of the games on TV because they weren't they weren't broadcast. So there would be like these really great players that you'd never see, like Timu Solani, or I don't know. So you could have like a hockey card of that guy, and you'd be like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I really liked the Vancouver Canucks, so there's no way usually I would ever watch a Vancouver Canuck game because it was on very, very late. I grew up in the middle of the country in Canada. So I think the problem with sports memorabilia now is that everybody is like buying things because they think that it's an investment, right? And like the Jackie Robinson thing, clearly there are some items that have historical significance, but I'm sorry, just one jersey that one random player wore for one period or a half a game, it doesn't mean anything. So I think what they're doing, and the Pokemon is the same way. Like people are going crazy for the collectability and the investability of these cards, but it's supposed to be a game for children. So you're taking this thing that hockey cards is a little bit different in baseball cards because, you know, I think people started to make money with it and then people kind of invested in the whole market more. But with Pokemon, it's like literally a card game for children. And I would imagine, I'm not an expert, but I would imagine like 95% of people who buy Pokemon are not children. And they're not buying it for children, they're buying it as some kind of like, oh, I'm gonna get like this. So I think it's kind of crazy. Because ultimately, those are just pieces of cardboard with like an image on them. You know? They're not rare. They don't have any inherent value if you're not using them for their purpose. Like maybe they look good and they're nice pieces of art to have. But and another thing that I don't like, and they do show this in this movie, in this series, is like people are gambling on these sports cards, and not just sports cards, but like Pokemon. So they'll buy like old packs of Pokemon, and they'll go for like these ridiculous prices, and they will gamble that they'll find a great Pokemon card in that. And the same thing with like sports cards now. They'll release like 12 because they don't want to have like millions of these cards out there because they don't want to have the cards be worth 15 cents 30 years from now. But also, if there's only 12 cards, why spend so much on it? Like it doesn't make any sense for me. You know, and I'm a bit pained by that because I really do understand kids, some kids, not all kids, and I was that kind of kid. I liked collecting things. I liked building a collection. And I think that they're kind of taking that away from kids and they're giving it to like rich people now. Like rich people are the only people who can have those kind of collections, which is kind of sad. And I mean, it's sad in one way, and the other way, I think that kids will just move on to something else, and that will be monetized in like 30 years when those kids grow up. It's like, oh, I don't know what it would be, but yeah, something. They're probably collecting something that isn't monetized. Okay, I need to finish because my time is almost done. But please check out my other podcasts. The Everything and More Etc. podcast, Death by Disney. Thank you and bye.